The morning light poured into the grand foyer of the sprawling Hamptons home. Darius Sterling stood frozen on the wide staircase, his coffee mug tight in his grip. The new maid arranged fresh lilies in the tall vase with careful hands. That motion sent a jolt through him he couldn't shake. Have you ever felt a spark from a stranger that stopped you in your tracks? Let me know in the comments right now. And don't forget to subscribe and share to someone who needs the story. She finished the flowers and turned her back fast. Darius took one step down. The stair creaked under his shoe. Salt air from the ocean drifted in and mixed with the sweet lily smell. Her uniform sat crisp on her frame. Chestnut hair stayed pinned tight. He watched her dust the next table, her moves quiet and sure. His chest felt warm in a way he had not felt for years. The huge house suddenly felt smaller with her in it. Darius cleared his throat. "Excuse me, Miss Reed," he said, voice low. She kept working without looking up. He moved closer across the cool marble floor. The lilies looked perfect now, just the way someone he once loved used to fix them. She glanced up for half a second. Those hazel eyes hit him hard. Then she turned away too quickly and headed toward the library door. Darius stood there, heart pounding, wondering why this quiet maid felt so familiar. Rain hammered the windows of the small Brooklyn coffee shop. Hot lattes spilled across the counter and soaked Darius Sterling's hoodie as Imani Hayes rushed to serve the next customer. She grabbed napkins fast, face full of worry. "I'm so sorry," she said, voice soft but steady. Darius laughed, a real laugh that surprised them both. He helped her wipe the mess. Their hands brushed. Sparks flew right there in the crowded shop. They talked for hours after her shift. She was 28, a barista and part-time artist with big dreams. He forgot his billionaire title and just listened. Weeks turned into stolen weekends in her tiny Queens walk-up. They shared late-night talks about family and a quiet life away from money and pressure. "This feels real," he told her one night, holding her close. Joy filled the room when she told him she was pregnant. Darius dropped to one knee right in her little kitchen, ring in hand, already planning a nursery. But one evening, the door slammed shut behind Tyrone and Malik. They cornered Imani in the dim apartment. Tyrone slammed a folded paper on the table. "Rich men don't marry girls like you," he snarled. The email looked official. It said Darius paid her to disappear. Malik leaned in close, breath hot. "Take the cash, or we tell everybody." Imani's hands shook as she stared at the lie. The apartment door stayed shut tight while Tyrone and Malik kept yelling. Imani backed against the wall, heart racing. They waved the fake email again and demanded she sign. "Your baby will grow up in the spotlight if you don't," Tyrone warned. Fear gripped her chest. She took the small stack of cash they left her and fled upstate that same night. Alone in a county hospital room, she gave birth to a tiny girl. The nurse placed the baby in her arms. Imani named her Layla, whispered love into her ear, and noticed the hospital wristband tight on the newborn's arm. 5 years passed in quiet struggle. Imani worked double shifts waitressing and cleaning houses. Layla's asthma attacks came sudden and scary, draining every dollar she saved. Tyrone and Malik showed up whenever they needed more money, sneering and threatening to expose the child. Imani hid Layla's school photo deep in her wallet and kept her head down. Poverty pressed heavy on her shoulders every single day. Cold stares from strangers made her feel small. Yet she stayed strong for Layla, teaching her to hold her chin high no matter what. Desperate for steady pay and a good school for her daughter, Imani filled out an online application under the name Imani Reed. She hit send and prayed this job at the big Hamptons home would stay hidden. The answer came fast. She packed her uniform and stepped onto the estate the next crisp October morning. Layla's breathing turned wheezy again in their small apartment. Imani held her close on the worn couch, rubbing her back until the inhaler kicked in. Bills sat stacked on the table. She counted the last few coins in her jar and sighed. Tyrone and Malik banged on the door later that week. "We need cash," Malik demanded, pushing past her. They took most of what she had and laughed about her fairy tale. Imani locked the door after they left, tears burning her eyes. Every day felt like a fight. She cleaned houses, served tables, and dodged eviction notices while keeping Layla's smile bright. Protective love for her daughter burned hot inside her. She sacrificed sleep and meals so Layla could have books and medicine. Cold society passed her by without a second look. Now the big Hamptons job offered steady money and better schools. Imani arrived for her first shift, uniform crisp, heart pounding loud in her ears. She prayed Darius would not recognize her. The marble floors felt cool under her shoes. Ocean air filled the halls. She dusted quietly and kept her head down. Darius walked by once and paused, but she stayed focused on her work. Fear twisted in her stomach. What if he looked too close? What if Layla's photo slipped out? She moved faster through the rooms, hiding the truth behind every careful smile. Late-night lights glowed soft in the library. Imani dusted the tall shelves while Darius sat at his desk with merger papers spread out. He looked up and asked her opinion on a tough deal. She gave calm, honest words that surprised him. Their talks grew longer each evening. Darius shared pieces of his regret. "Oh, I let the one real person slip away," he said one night, voice low. Imani felt empathy crash through her, but kept her face steady. Her heart ached every time he glanced her way. Subtle glances passed between them across the room. She arranged flowers, and he watched a little longer than needed. The empire faced trouble. Papers leaked, and millions sat at risk. Imani overheard bits of phone calls in the hallway. Malik had slipped in as a low-level contractor through shady contacts. He fed information to rivals for quick gambling cash. Darius grew restless, suspicion tight on his face. Imani's school photo of Layla nearly fell from her pocket during one close call. She caught it fast and hid it again. Tension thickened the air like smoke. On the stormy merger night, lightning cracked outside. Here Imani dusted near the study door and heard Malik's voice on a burner phone he left charging. "Tell the old man the trap is set," he whispered. "Sterling signs tonight. We cash out big." Her blood ran cold. She couldn't let it happen. Lightning split the dark sky outside the study window. Imani pressed her back to the hallway wall, breath held tight. Malik's voice came low from the burner phone he left charging on the side table. "Tell the old man the trap is set," he said. "Sterling signs tonight. We cash out big." Her stomach dropped like a stone. She had to stop this. Darius sat inside at his oak desk, pen ready over the merger papers that could ruin everything. Imani stepped forward, hands shaking. "Have you ever heard words that made your whole world tilt in 1 second?" Darius looked up when she entered. The storm rattled the glass. Rain pounded hard against the panes. She closed the door behind her. The room smelled of old wood and fresh rain. Her uniform felt too tight now. Darius waited, eyes steady on her. Imani's fingers brushed the faded photo in her pocket. Pride kept her voice even. She had hidden this truth for 5 long years. Darius leaned in, sensing something big. Tension hung thick between them. She knew one word could break it all. Outside, thunder rolled again. Time ticked down on the merger deadline. Imani opened her mouth, heart slamming against her ribs. What she said next would change 3 lives forever. The words left Imani's lips before she could stop them. "My father and my brother did this," she whispered. Darius froze with the pen still in his hand, his face drained of color. She pulled the faded photo from her pocket and slid it across the desk. Layla smiled back from the picture, blowing out birthday candles, the cleft chin exactly like his. Darius stared hard. Recognition hit him like a wave. "Imani?" he said, voice cracking raw. Tears stung her eyes as she told him everything. The forged email 6 years ago, the lies about the payoff, the pregnancy, the lonely birth in that county hospital, Tyrone and Malik taking the money and laughing while she raised Layla alone. Darius's hands gripped the desk edge until his knuckles turned white. Pain twisted across his face. He saw the years he missed, the nights she soothed Layla's asthma attacks by herself. Empathy filled his eyes, yet fury burned underneath for the men who stole it all. Thunder crashed again outside. The merger papers sat between them like a bomb. Darius looked at her, then at the photo. His next breath came shaky. Would he believe the woman he once loved, or would the lies from her family destroy any chance they had left? Darius stood up fast, chair scraping loud on the marble floor. He didn't shout or slam anything. Instead, he moved with cold focus, the same way he built his empire. He picked up the phone and canceled the merger signing right then. Private security guards rushed in through the side door. Darius told them exactly where to find Tyrone and Malik. The next morning in the boardroom, light streamed through tall windows onto the long table. Tyrone blustered and wiped sweat from his brow. Malik snarled threats, face twisted with rage. "You can't prove anything!" Malik spat. Darius laid out the evidence, voice steady and sharp. Federal agents walked in moments later, cuffs ready. They arrested both men for espionage and extortion. Tyrone's hands shook as the cuffs clicked shut. Malik glared pure hate at Imani across the room. Viewers would feel that same anger at these greedy men who hurt their own blood. Justice felt sweet, but the air stayed heavy. Darius watched them get led away. He turned to Imani, eyes full of everything unsaid. The estate buzzed with shock. News crews already gathered outside on the lawn. Darius still had one more move to make, and nobody knew what it would be yet. Cameras flashed bright on the wide estate lawn. Darius stood tall with Imani at his side and little Layla peeking from behind her mother's skirt. The ocean wind tugged at their clothes. He spoke clear into the microphones. "This is my daughter Layla," he said, "and the woman I never stopped loving." Gasps rippled through the crowd. He ended the engagement his mother pushed with the socialite. Then Darius dropped to one knee right there in front of everyone. The ring box opened with a soft click. "Real love costs everything," he told Imani, voice thick. "Pride, time, pain. But it's worth it. Marry me. Let me spend my life making this right." Joy broke across Imani's face. Tears ran down her cheeks as she nodded yes. Layla ran forward and hugged them both. The family held each other tight while cameras clicked non-stop. Relief washed over the scene like warm sunlight. Yet as they embraced, a security guard handed Darius a note from custody. Tyrone's last desperate threat scrawled on it. "This isn't over," it read. Darius folded the paper, jaw set hard. The cameras kept rolling. But his eyes told Imani one thing. Their fight might not be finished. Sunlight danced across the Hamptons waves weeks later. Layla laughed loud in the garden, chasing butterflies while Darius read her favorite book at bedtime every night. Imani's new art studio glowed with fresh canvases and the smell of paint. The family healed together in the big house that once felt empty. Darius funded her dreams and made sure Layla had the best care for her asthma. They walked the beach at dusk, hands linked, talking about the years they lost and the ones ahead. Regret still stung sometimes, but they chose forgiveness every day. Betrayal from your own blood cuts deep, yet it shows who really deserves your heart. Choose people who lift you, not the ones who chain you down. Regret steals tomorrow if you let it. Face it head-on before time slips away. A fate twists hard, but your next move writes the real ending. Real love asks for courage and the willingness to pay its full price. On the other side waits joy, sharper than any money, and a family no empire can buy. Darius proved the greatest wealth is the one you fight for when everything else gets stripped away. If this story touched your heart, comment below with the lesson that hit you hardest. Share it with someone who needs to hear about real love worth the cost. See you in the next chapter of our family stories.